Hi, welcome to Revero.health Success Stories. I'm Brooke Erdman, a coach here, and today I'm really happy to be speaking with Tammy, who's going to share her carnivore success story and the adventures that she's had with healing herself with carnivore. Hi, Tammy, how are you?
Hi, Brooke. So good to meet you.
So good to meet you. And I want to thank you again for taking the time with us and sharing with our listeners what's going on for you. And I'll start off with, what were you eating before? What was your diet like before you changed it to an animal-based diet?
My diet was the typical sad diet, the typical American diet. Pizza, French fries, McDonald's, sweets, all that good stuff.
All the fun party food.
Yes, the fun party food, that's it.
And your health, what was your health like then?
I was good weight-wise. I weighed 98 pounds until I turned 40. I've even tried to gain weight and couldn't, but I had the typical, like as you age, oh, it's just age. Oh, it's just age. And I started hearing from like Kelly Hogan and different ones saying, you know, you don't have to be sick. It's not your age. And now I'm talking after carnivore. But until then, I was just okay with my body. I mean, I was the perfect size as far as no weight gain. I hit 40, I gained 20 pounds seemingly for no reason within 6 months. Just assumed it's just age. And so since then, I had PCOS so bad that I went to the emergency room at least twice that I remember. I thinking I was having a miscarriage because I thought, I still could have gotten pregnant. But it wasn't. I had rosacea terribly. I woke up one day, went to an event, my face, I thought I was dying. I got so red. And when I went to a doctor, actually had an eye doctor's appointment. He said, it's rosacea. And I was like, I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
Rosacea, that was in 2011. Thinning hair, my hair was just falling out. And over the years, it got worse. I did 3 hair treatments even in Uruguay. Something that I didn't know even existed until I was here. And then my beautician said to try this. It worked temporarily for like a year. Then the next year, maybe a year and a half, I had to get another one. So I did 3 altogether. But in the kitchen, my hair would just fall out. I had to start wearing a shower cap.
Well,
2000.
And this is when you were on like a sort of a regular old sad diet.
Yeah, just regular diets. When I knew nothing about food.
Okay.
Since I wasn't overweight, I wasn't really.
Yeah.
I had no experience in diets.
So then what was the determining factor that made you think about changing your diet?
So the change was when I had a brain injury 6.5 years ago now, March 2015. I have AVMs, more than 10. All of my arteries and veins are in clusters, and one bled. And that bleed made me lose all of my left side. I was paralyzed on the right side. My left brain, paralyzed on my right side. I couldn't keep my eyes open. I couldn't process. I couldn't talk. It's not that I couldn't talk. It's that I couldn't think enough to say something.
Is that a genetic condition, having the venous structure dismembered that way? Not dismembered, but disordered that way? Yeah,
malformations. It was, they said I must have been born with it. I mean, because of how old they were. They just said it's something that people can be born with. And unless it bleeds, you don't know you have it.
Uh-huh. And so was that like a little stroke? Was that like having a stroke or a big stroke?
It is similar, but is nothing like a stroke. Similar, but not. Because mine, it's a permanent, they really thought I would die within a year. If I survived, I would never be out of bed. I was in bed 22 hours a day for 2 years. After 1 year, the neurologist told me in the United States and in Uruguay, I saw 3 different neurologists. After 1 year, there's no expectations of improvement because this that I have is so rare. All cavernous also is another rarity. They can't fix it. They can't go in and laser stop the bleed. The difference in what I had, and when you hear people that die instantly, they have what they call a fast bleed, something cavernous, and AVMs like mine. That's a fast bleed. the blessing for me was that it was a slow bleed. I didn't even know I had it for 3 days. I didn't know I had it for about 5 days. It was 3 days before I just deteriorated in my movement. I couldn't move my right side. I couldn't open my eyes. I couldn't sit up anymore. I had to sit in a lounge chair in my house until my doctor said, I think you better come to the hospital.
So did they find that on a CAT scan or?
So then I went to the emergency room here in Uruguay, had to wait 3 days, I think 3 days to get an MRI because they were full. They actually wouldn't take me. My doctor walked through and saw me, and he's the director of the hospital. I was very fortunate and blessed. I was in the waiting room with his secretary, nothing we could do. They wouldn't take me. Hospitals were full. He walked through and said, Tammy, what are you doing here? I hadn't seen him for years, maybe 10 years. And he remembered us because just being American.
Yeah.
And he spoke perfect English. So just that I was American, he recognized us. And he just had me walk two steps and realized I couldn't walk. And that by that time, I know I was not holding my head up at all. I couldn't stand more than a second. He sent me straight, got me a room, brought in specialists from Uruguay, did MRIs, and showed the bleed. They evacuated me to the United States just to see if there was any new treatments. And there were not. I went to Vanderbilt Hospital, a famous one in Nashville, Tennessee, because I had a friend that worked there that got me in immediately. I flew in. Same day I arrived, went to the hospital there, emergency, and to see this specialist. And then it was 5.5 months of trying to figure out what to do. Nothing they could do for me.
So they basically said, this is just the structure and we can't really, there's no ablation or there's just no way they can stop those bleeds. My goodness. So then what did you do?
So after 5.5 months, we came on back to Uruguay for our job. And my husband we work from home a lot. So he was able to take care of me, thankfully, because I couldn't do anything for myself. I was able to care for myself as far as just getting a shower and getting dressed. But like I couldn't walk by myself. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't move my legs. I needed help. I had what they call temporary paralysis. So like he could move me and then I would remember a little bit on how to move my legs to walk. But I couldn't just move by myself. Like I was just frozen like a zombie. And then to do anything, I had to think, how do I move my arm? And it was just every move you make had to be thought through. So it took me a long time to even move my hand.
I wonder if are you
to reach for something.
Are you building new pathways in the brain at that point because it's been damaged and you have to relearn? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm relearning everything on my right side of my brain.
Yeah.
And that's the best news that my neurologist told me here in the United States, here in Uruguay and in the United States. They all told me, even though you may not improve, we have no way to know because my experience was I was 0.001 rare. That's why I say it's nothing like a stroke in that sense. The way it happened to me was so rare, there's nothing they could do for me. And no hope of improvement. They didn't know because so few people have it. And they said one thing they know is, in general, your brain needs to think it's alive.
Yeah.
That's the best news they could tell me because even though I couldn't process everything they were telling me, my husband he was my translator. I mean, he had to sit by me, help me understand, take in all the information, answer for me until about the past year.
So your
like
brain really had
5 years.
your brain had to think and fight its way back from the injury.
Yes. And I would, for example, they said, always move anything you can and learn something new. So I would move my finger like this, just move my finger. My husband bought me an Apple Watch so that when I was awake, after the 2 years, when I started staying awake more than when I would only sleep 20 hours a day instead of 22 on the 3rd year, I began to try to move 30 minutes. So I set my watch, the workout timer, because I had no concept of time. So I couldn't I'll just move a little. I didn't have any concept. I just knew that I needed to move. And so I would do that, just try to move one foot, and I only walked like this until last year. I could barely move. Some days I could walk a little bit more, most days no. And it's all due to information stimulation, the sensory stimulation.
Yeah, it's rebuilding itself from this injury.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they told me to learn something new. So I took on language learning.
And how?
French and Korean.
French is
Yeah.
hard enough. Did that work?
Yes. I mean, I'm still in the process of my healing, so I'm not 100% yet. And you'll notice today, my eyes still flicker. I don't really notice it anymore, but when I see it on video, when I watch a recording, I notice my eyes are still extra closed, extra time.
The brain has just, I mean, all the nerve endings, I would think you would get tired easily, or is there a window of time?
Yes. Well, at first, after 2 years, I began sleeping less, like 20 hours a day, 18. But in order to be alert, it was like 5 seconds. I remember journaling. I talked to my dad for 5 seconds. I talked to my husband for 5 seconds. And my eyes will only stay open that long. And then when they shut, my whole body would shut down. I couldn't walk. I couldn't lift my hand. Couldn't use my right side. I couldn't function at all. I just had to just lay down, go back to bed and sleep.
You were really climbing out of a cave.
Oh, yes. I felt like every time I went to sleep, I was falling into a pit to die. Like literally, my husband and I did not know from one day to the next for 2 years if I would live. And really, until 5 years. My sleeping was less, but I still had that deep crashing sleep. I would just crash, like no awareness of time.
And I'm fascinated with that kind of deep sleep. It must have been restorative for the brain itself.
Yes, that's what they told me. That was another a really miraculous thing that was said to me in the hospital. The first day here in Uruguay, a friend came and he said, "This is normal." His dad had the same thing I had and slept 20 hours a day also for several years, just like me. So that gave me hope that, okay, today I'm sleeping 22 hours. Maybe tomorrow I'll sleep 22 hours. We didn't know it was going to be 7 years. This is 6.5, 6 years and 7 months, really. And we don't know how long I'm going to be improving.
So what are you eating at this point? What's your diet like during this?
So the benefit to carnivore is that when we had to come back to Uruguay in 2018, we got to have Dr. Ken Berry as a doctor, as Jamie's doctor. And we had just heard on a podcast by 2 keto dudes the idea of keto and carnivore. And we were like, of keto. And so we had kind of dabbled in that for about 3 years, actually, listening to 2 keto dudes during my sickness. And so in 2018, we had to have our physicals to come back. And a doctor was just, "You're going to die." Talking to my husband, "You're going to die. Your diabetes is just going to kill you." And because we had just heard on 2 keto dudes on the hour drive to the doctor, they said, "You can say no to your doctor and do some research, get second opinions." And so because they recommended things for my husband's diabetes, like statin, insulin, double all medicines, we were like, that doesn't sound like the best idea. So we decided, keto hadn't worked or healed us at all. But maybe we weren't even doing it right. We didn't know enough about it, really. We were just following along 2 keto dudes.
Yeah, it's a broad term, keto.
Yes. Okay. So when we went because that doctor made us wonder, what should we do? And are we really dying? Because not only was he in such a dire straits, I was still sleeping 22 hours a day. So I didn't seem to have any improvement. So we heard on the 2 keto dudes podcast that day about You Can Say No, and they mentioned Dr. Ken Berry, a keto doctor in Nashville, Tennessee, which is where we go for our mission organization.
All right.
And we had to go have one last meeting the next week. So literally 2 keto dudes saved our life. Within 2 hours, we made a decision to check it out. Made an appointment. He said, "You might want to consider carnivore." We walked out the door, came back to Uruguay, started August 1st, carnivore. And the reason we started carnivore is because I was so sick and in bed, I can't cook, shop, drive, participate, do anything. He was our cook. And in Uruguay, we eat meat every day.
We spoke earlier. I've been to Uruguay, and it's like a carnivore heaven. Restaurants just give you a big slab of meat and some salt.
Yes. And 22 years ago, you got a steak this big for $5, and we would share it. Yeah. We have a restaurant here we go to every Sunday where we get the biggest and the best steak. A lot of times now I eat salmon because I've also been through menopause and I'm dealing with other issues. So I'm trying to figure out where to add fish in to my diet. But anyway, but we're on carnivore because of my husband because of diabetes, and he's the cook, and that's all he knew to cook. He was not a
So during
typical
this
American
time,
cook.
how long ago did you get onto carnivore then?
August 1st, 2018, we started immediately when we heard about it. We came back to your way in end of May, and he researched it and said, yeah, this is the perfect country to test it.
Yeah, really easy for him to cook for you too. So you started eating carnivore, and you're still working your way through this brain recovery of this injury. And then did things speed up, or did you, what were things were you noticing? Or was he noticing for you?
It did speed up. Within 2 weeks of carnivore, my husband said, welcome back to the world. He said, I became alert and aware just a little. And I'm talking about being a zombie and zero. I didn't even know if he called my name. I mean, I just didn't process. He had to tap me on the shoulder to get my attention, to talk to me. And I would have to turn my head to talk to him.
Yeah.
And one day something was said, and I looked at it, and he said, welcome to the world. And so he's always said, you became alert and aware since carnivore. So that really encouraged us. So I got the benefit. It's cured his diabetes also. And in the process, though, I got the benefit. And I had just been through 1.5 years of allergy shots before my brain injury. And when I got my brain injury, they said, oh, we got to stop all medication just in case till we know what's wrong with you. So she stopped me cold turkey. So that was another reason. Being allergic to flour, that's another reason carnivore also cured all my allergy. Like, it's incredible. I also have a bulging disc, that 24-hour-a-day pain since 2006. 13 years, nothing has been able to stop the pain until carnivore.
Yeah, such an anti-inflammatory diet.
Oh, now I can move my head. I couldn't move my head before, hardly.
You were taking allergy shots before the injury kind of exploded on you?
Yes, 1.5 years. Every day drops, and every month or 2 weeks shots. And they didn't help. I mean, she didn't know what else to do for me. Yeah, that's why when she said, let's just stop 1.5 years.
Shots? What, cortisone?
She said 1.5 years is typically the maximum anyway.
What's an allergy shot? Is it a cortisone? Is it a steroid?
I don't know. Actually, I hadn't thought about that.
Curious.
I would take steroids for my allergy, like in the moment before I got with her. Yeah. That was what I would take, a pack of that.
Yeah. So you started to pretty rapidly, there was a change, and maybe the timing was perfect, but now you're really getting nutritional benefit from the power of animal foods. Amazing. And it sounds like it was pretty simple and easy for him to cook. So steaks.
Very simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. People say, how can you just change? And I'm like, it's so simple. Cook a piece of meat. And we have the best pork belly. And you put that on a grill here or in our air fryer here. It's to die for.
So what are you eating now then?
So we eat meat every day, eggs, cheese occasionally. And I say occasionally only more for the fact of his diabetes. I'm not sure yet how it affects me so much, but so we eat that. And like I said, I just finished going through menopause, so I'm dealing with that and a few other issues. So I'm trying to add some fish, add some salmon back into my diet once a week, more or less. And water, coffee. He drinks black coffee. I add just a little bit I do bulletproof coffee every morning. Add a little cream to my coffee in the afternoon. And Uruguay, if you've been here, you may know we are also coffee country.
Yeah. In fact,
we still have tea time every day.
Yeah, we met some friends who actually had a coffee company when we were there.
Great. Yeah, we
love
coffee.
They're Canadians actually that started a coffee company there. But anyway, that is such a great story for your recovery. Using animal nutrition, using animal nutrition for your recovery, and eliminating all those kind of triggers of plants that we really don't know very much about. Some of the, we eat plants, we eat vegetables and plants for their color and for how tasty they might be, but we don't know very much about those parts of plants that are toxic to us, nuts and seeds and all those things. And it sounds like it's just been a steady improvement in your She walks, she talks. You just seem perfectly kind of recovered by now. I'm just so happy
Yeah.
for you and your family.
Thank you. I was supposed to have written my story for Dr. ShawnBaker actually, because for his book
Yeah.
a while back,
Yeah.
because we started all this about the time Dr. Ken Berry then stopped practicing. So he was our doctor. He was still my husband's doctor online for a couple of consultations. And then now we have a new carnivore doctor outside of Nashville that he recommended. And she also just stopped practicing, but she's going to take us because she said yes, because she's also going to be doing like Dr. Berry, YouTube and videos and things. But when Dr. ShawnBaker started, we believed in it, we were ready, but my brain injury was still so intense. I didn't feel like I could express and share my story. I'm only about a month into being able to chat like this. So I've been wanting to share my story since the beginning, but I didn't feel like I could do it justice. And I did not want to say things that don't make sense, because my husband was always beside me to correct me or to make me aware of, did you realize you meant to say this? Oh yeah. So I didn't want to say untruths without realizing it. So I was so nervous.
Well, you've done more than give it justice.
Oh, good. Well,
because your great hard work of coming out from that dark place. It's a lot of work, a lot of will and strength and love of your husband and your faith.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. My faith has been what got us through. I remember the very first day in the hospital when I realized, oh my goodness, I can't even pray. I can't think. I can't reason. I can't read. And I'm still a Christian.
Little by little, by little. It's just really a wonderful testament to the little by little changes we can make.
Yeah, I would encourage anybody with a brain injury, and really anybody doing keto and carnivore or weight loss or all of these health things. I have realized now, step by step, is truly so important, because when you're near death, like I was, and you think every day you're going to die, the doctors told me also, if your brain thinks you're going to die and you give up, you will die or become unable to do anything, get out of bed. So they said, don't use a cane, don't use a prop. Since I had my husband, I could lean on him when I need to, walk with him every time. But they said, you have to tell your brain you're alive, and you have to believe it in yourself. Because if you don't, your brain controls you.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of, it's our embodiment here, at least while we're here. Yeah.
Looking back, now that it's been this many years, if you told me 6 years ago, by the way, this is going to be a 7 to 10 year process. And I knew there was a possibility because I just read the book that my neurologist here, we listened to it on Audible, My Stroke of Insight, where a neurologist went through the quick brain bleed. She didn't die, but in 2 hours, she couldn't remember or do anything. But she knew enough to get help before those 2 hours. But she tells her whole process, but it was 10 years for her. But if you told me, oh yeah, it's going to be 10 years, I think it would have been really hard.
Yeah.
No, I think it was easier not knowing, just trusting what happens.
Yeah. Like the idea that facing with 10 years, like you would maybe thought you don't even want to do it.
Right.
You can't do it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
and if my 2 years of sleeping 22 hours a day, if I'd known this might be 6 years sleeping 22 hours a day, I think it would have been hard to accept. Like, oh dear, well, and my poor husband, I would have been thinking,
your
oh,
lovely husband, your lovely husband.
That is a true blessing, is to have someone by your side that can have the ability to understand you. He never once made me feel bad for not cleaning house. He never complained about helping me get out of bed. I was thinking the other day, I would say a year and a half since COVID that I can get out of bed by myself without him, me waking up fearful and teary, saying, I can't move, so scared. And he'd rub my legs, get them out of bed, and hold me, give me a hug. You're okay. We're going to make it.
So fantastic.
I'm saying I cried every day for 6 years.
Well, plenty of reasons to cry there.
Yeah, it was scary.
Very scary. It's so fantastic that do they give you a prognosis of that kind of thing? Or do they just say, well, we don't know? Still.
They just say, we don't know. And I did start having seizures, which they say is typical within a couple of months. And I was on Keppra 4 years. In 1 year carnivore, I was off.
How did
1
you
year
do-
carnivore.
How did you do with Keppra? My experience with a loved one on Keppra was really horrible. Keppra can sometimes be very, very horrible.
I heard that from a friend, but I didn't have a choice because I was having seizures every minute for 10 seconds.
I mean, they have different seizure medications, but Keppra is one of the strongest, I guess.
But I took the minimum dosage.
Yeah.
Almost minimum. In Uruguay, we can't get the minimum. I got 850. In the States, I could get 500, but I couldn't get 850. I think that's the way. But anyways, I was on almost the minimum for 4 years. And when I started carnivore in August 2018, within a year, I was off my medicine. I had read about it online, all the groups, talked to my doctors. They don't know anything about carnivore, but they said there's nothing wrong with me giving it a try.
And so with
3 or 4 months.
With them bringing the dose of Keppra down, they were able to test or something that you're kind of out of the danger zone of the seizures. Is that how they?
There was no test. They just said, if you have a seizure, start taking it again.
Yeah,
so I kept the rest of my pills that I still had, I kept on hand in my purse at all times. And so never went out without it. They just said it won't matter. It's not like other medicines.
Yeah.
You do need to decrease slowly. But I was already on 850, so I decreased to 500. Then I cut them in half, cut the pill in half and took half. But I was getting ready to make a big trip for my 2 sons' weddings in Korea and California. And I was desperately trying to be able to get out of bed to go to that. And to get off Keppra was a help because Keppra also kept me sleepy. I felt like I didn't know.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's what my friend told me. She said her son, who was on it just for seizures, not for a brain injury, he was like a zombie and he was miserable at school. It was difficult.
And angry.
But because I slept all the time, I didn't notice.
Yeah. Yes.
It didn't affect me.
That's
the best I know.
such a blessing that you were sleeping all the time because Keppra, sometimes it's called the angry drug.
Yes. I'd heard that from my friend. I thought, oh no, but I didn't feel like I had any choice here. Yeah. But that's why with carnivore, it saved my life in getting off of it because I would never have gotten off. I wouldn't have ever known that it was possible.
Well, I am so glad that you have discovered and know now that it's quite possible and that and through the help of animal nutrition and the power of healing meat and the power of love and faith and your hard work. It's fantastic.
It is hard work.
I'm really, really happy for you.
And one more thing, I have a list of 61 issues that have been cured from carnivore.
Oh, can you read off the list? Do you have it open?
Yeah, I do. I have it open because
maybe just briefly read off the list.
Quickly. Yeah. Because I wanted to share it all. When I talked about the interview, they're like, we don't have that much time.
Read off the 61 issues.
Okay, I'm just gonna, it was hard to choose, which ones to share. Oh dear, I had it open, let me find. I have so many documents open because I didn't know how many things I was gonna be able to tell you. Okay, here it is, you ready? Mm-hmm. And just tell me if you want me to stop,
We're ready.
Go quickly. Okay. Some of them I don't really tell a lot about because like I wasn't diagnosed with something and I don't know why, but I know that I'm well. Okay, so some I can't give 100% explanation. Okay, allergy 2013, rosacea 2011, dry eyes. I couldn't open my eyes for a month because of rosacea. I had special eye drops that kept getting stronger that didn't exist in Uruguay. And carnivore cured I can rub my eyes. Like literally right now, I couldn't touch my eyes with a drop of water. Mm-hmm. And that's since rosacea 2011. That's scary. Inflammation, I was already like an older person raising my legs up every single night the past a year before I started carnivore. The chronic inflammation in my neck. I had inflammation in my fingers, legs, neck. I had arthritis in 6 fingers that just went away. I never started medicine because I was determined not to do it. I was just going to have arthritis. My fingers were beginning to curl. Dry skin, hunger. I was always hungry. Weight gain, like I mentioned, constipation, hemorrhoids, hair loss. The bathroom problems were all my life. up and down, difference in, constipation, diarrhea. I was on a bag of medicine for that, depending on which was my issue that day. Hair loss, my nails would just break for no reason. Now they're strong as a rock. I couldn't focus. I have ADHD terribly. Energy low level, sleep deprived, cognition lacking, my mood. Sadly, your mood, changes with these things. OCD, horribly. Adult acne, the bleeding, like if you got acne, then it just bled and wouldn't stop for a day. That was awful. Freckles, which not that that's bad, but I had a lot and I have a lot less. Unsmooth skin, unfirm skin, sunburned. If I was in the sun a minute, I would be burned, like hurting. And the other thing was sunburned. We are in Uruguay where there's no ozone layer, and it literally burned your insides under your skin, they say. Dizzy, digestion problems, miserable. PCOS, my cyst went from 3.5 centimeters, I had 5 of them, down to 1, less than 1. And that is doctor controlled. Like, she couldn't believe it either. Dandruff, horrible dandruff, tried all kinds of shampoos. My joints ached, varicose veins hurt, now nothing. I had abscess, diverticulitis, bulging disc, heel pain when you stand. My teeth, now when I go to the dentist, they don't hardly have anything to get plaque. They don't need any work hardly. They don't even want to charge me because of no plaque buildup. Brown spots on my face from the sun from being in Uruguay, less noticeable. Sunspots on my stains on my forearms, less noticeable. Vertigo, I kept vertigo pills on hand all the time, never now. Cracking jaw. My hands are already looking really, really old. Kind of a silly thing, but it was unusual so early. My stomach, I would look pregnant many times. I had a bug bite on my finger that would never stop itching. I remember I knocked the bug off, and it's been since 2002. Mosquito bites never bother me now, never itch. Blah, blah, blah. A little more. I've already talked about the allergy. Brain injury, that's about 10 issues, just the brain injury. And then menopause. So that's
Good Lord, that's poor baby.
And I have some more things like the brain fog. I just realized I have brain fog on another list right here beside me.
That is a
And
great
epilepsy.
list.
I forgot to put that.
That's a great list. This burden that you're carrying,
Yes.
that gets shunted off of you. It's fantastic. Thank you.
And a
for
lot of those
sharing that.
things, that's what I noticed from Kelly Hogan and some of the other ladies that have talked about menopause and older ladies,
Mhm.
that our age doesn't have to make us sick. We don't have to be sick.
Well, no.
And I try to tell people that, but they don't believe me. They'll say, oh, it's just age. Because now I'm in that 50s age where all the friends are hurting and they have this and that. And I try to say,
that for everything, heart issues, you're dying, people, oh, it's just age. That's
and I do it also for pre-cancer, or to not promote cancer, because I have a lot of cancer in my family. And so I know I can't kill the cancer that's inside me, but from what I've understood from reading from Carnivore is sugar promotes cancer, or sugar adds to the cancer and feeds it. Sugar feeds the cancer. So if I have it, I know that the sugar I eat or carbs may be feeding it. That's what I understand.
Yeah, I mean, the cancer cells are voracious eaters, so they suck up the lion's share of the sugar that cells eat.
Mm-hmm.
But then cancer, it's amazing because it also feeds on glutamine, which we have endogenous. But your list is exhaustive list. Thank you for sharing that and keeping track of all that. And I think people just sort of feel better, and we don't really write down exactly all the different things that we might have experienced before. And so it's when you write them down, they accumulate, and you're just kind of amazed at the changes and the way you can heal yourself with diet.
That's how I got my list. As my brain has become better, I've remembered things like I used to suffer. One day I forgot I had arthritis.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I
I
mean,
used to
a lot
suffer
of
with
it,
arthritis.
no, for sure. You know, I used to get like I would get cold in my wrists and stuff and kind of hurt. And I would just think, oh, I guess it's just a cold day today. But no,
Yeah.
it was really, I think, the beginning of arthritic conditions.
And there's another doctor that we followed a lot, Dr. Fung and
Yeah.
Dr. Cynthia Thurlow. Those are some of our beginnings that really really encouraged us to give it a try.
Were you doing intermittent fasting? You know, Fung is
yes, but only in the past. I think my calendar just said we started intermittent fasting in 2019, so like a year later. Like we went through the first year, and now we do. Yes, every day. We never ever have snack, and we never ever have breakfast. I have bulletproof coffee. My husband doesn't, just because of the diabetes and weight he's still working on.
And how's your
But
sleep?
no, we go.
How's your sleep now?
All morning. Oh, sleep amazing. We both sleep like babies.
Yeah.
My husband doesn't even have to use a CPAP machine anymore. So I'm excited for one day when he'll tell his story.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, thank you again. It's a riveting saga of your health situation and how you've been able to help yourself. And I'm sure that your physicians are quite happy and pleased at all your improvements.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we did blood work not too long ago to just our first blood work since Carnivore. And we both had great numbers. My numbers were perfect, which they were before pretty much anyway, which is why I don't have too much, I'm not sure how much to share on. I mean, how much, I can't really use numbers. Yeah. I can just use all the things, the list I gave you. I can't deny that all hurt.
Yeah, I think that list is a lot better than numbers.
I was on a bag of allergy medicine and a bag of bathroom issue medicine that was always on hand and nonstop.
Well, I'm so glad for you. I'm so happy for you. And carry on and keep us posted on other changes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to share.
Yeah, it was great. Great to hear you share. Thank you again.
Well, I'm thankful for all the people out there that have, all the people I've mentioned, because we wouldn't have known if others hadn't shared, if the doctors hadn't shared with us. Yeah, we wouldn't have known to even look into it. So,
and what is the name of that disorder again, of the brain vascular?
AVM, which stands for arterial venous malformations. Yeah. Malformations meaning they're just all in clusters. Yeah. And mine are cavernous. So I have more than 10. I have so many they couldn't count them. I have more than 10 cavernous AVMs. That's the way it's said.
Do they take more pictures of that? Do they? I
do regular MRI.
Yeah,
I do regular ones like once a year just to see if they're decreasing.
Does it show that?
It shows that there's any new bleed, and so far there's been no new bleed, if I'm remembering correctly. But they just look at it and let us know that I'm still doing good. She analyzes, she watches me walk, and is encouraged that I'm learning a new language and doing everything I know to do. And yes, it is hard work. I have several friends that I've shared this with. Even to the point of friends in wheelchairs, because I've heard some things about different diseases and different issues. So I do try to encourage everybody I know to at least give it a try, because really all it is the ultimate elimination diet. It's not a terrible, it's not like, oh, it's a terrible, crazy thing. It's just take away everything.
Yeah, you're right.
And add back. Yes, and maybe you can eat a carrot. Maybe you can eat a cucumber.
A carrot,
but maybe you can't eat
a carrot actually might be the thing you can eat for sure.
But maybe you can't have eggs or cheese like a lot of the ladies that, a lot of people we see on the carnivore pages. Maybe. There are certain people allergic to different things. So I encourage everybody to give it a try, because it's not hurting anything.
But in the meantime, it probably strengthens your veins in general. Good nutrition. I'm just guessing. And there's vulnerability there for you in the venous structures. It sounds like.
I haven't thought of that, but that's a good point. And I'm about to see my neurologist here in Uruguay this month or next month. I've got to make an appointment. So I'll do one more MRI for this year and see that if I make sure I'm still, no new bleeds that I didn't recognize, because it could be because I'm already so limited, I could have a new bleed and not even notice.
Yeah.
Because it depends on where it is.
Yeah, of course.
So that's the thing. It's not that you will have the exact symptoms if you have another brain bleed. It may bleed on this side.
Yeah.
So then I would have other symptoms. So because I'm already so bad, it's possible to have a brain bleed, which is why we do the MRIs once a year, just to see if there's something new.
Yeah.
And that the blood was drying up, because that took a couple of years. I don't remember. I can't say how long. It took time. I know we'd go back and she'd say, it's looking better. We'd go back and she'd say, it's looking better.
Uh-huh.
And yes, I'm learning all new stuff on the other side.
Thank you. Thank you. Wish you the best. Sounds like you're doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Doing my best.
Thank you again. Take care.
Join Revero.health for a 30-day free trial to get access to live Q&A with VIP guests, social community meetings, member discounts, low-carb healthcare providers list, forum, workouts, monthly challenges, early access to podcasts, recipes, carnivore diet guide, fasting guide, shred guide, and much more.